Okay, we're going to go to our 6.5 item, our 9:30 a.m. item, consideration and presentation on California Jobs First Catalyst Fund proposal. This can be presented by, looks like Ben Rickelman.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. Ben Rickelman, Deputy County Administrative Officer. I have a presentation here for a funding opportunity through the state of California. California Jobs First was formerly known as the Community Economic Resilience Fund. You might have heard of it referred to as SURF. It is through ARPA. Overall, $600 million was allocated for the entire program, which has several components. And the state has taken a regional approach. There's 13 California Job First regions throughout California. Lake County is part of the Redwood Region RISE, which includes Del Norte, Humboldt, Lake, and Mendocino County. As part of this program, $14 million has been allocated to each region as the Catalyst program. And then as a subpart of the Catalyst program, there's $9 million per region for specific projects. And an interesting thing about this program is it can be used for pre-development work, so it doesn't have to be necessarily for shovel-ready projects. So with conversations in the community and thinking through what's in motion, an interesting approach we could take is submitting a project to build off Lake County's Strategic Growth Council's Community Resilience Center submission. If you remember, Terry Logson presented a little while ago about a grant proposal, a planning grant for a hub and spoke Resilience Center network. So the spokes are existing county facilities, but the hub would be developed. So it'd primarily be an emergency facility, kind of a command and control shelter. It would have a warehouse component. And a possibility how the Catalyst program could connect to that is during non-emergency time, there could be an economic development utilization of some of the space. So since I've started here, I've had several conversations of the need of kind of collaboration space, high quality office space, somewhere for entrepreneurs and early stage companies to work at. There's no real space like that in the county currently. It's kind of done at an ad hoc nature. So this could present a real opportunity during non-emergency times that this hub is utilized in this manner. It could also provide an area for demonstrations, workshops, networking events, and working with other industries too on certain kind of upskilling technical presentations. It would be for pre-development funding. So looking through the fiscal analysis, environmental assessment, architecture and engineering work. So we were thinking somewhere in around $350,000 out of the total $9 million allocated for the 4-county region. It's a little longer of a process than the state is kind of advertised. So they have on their website that projects are due at the end of this month, which isn't true. What the state's looking for at the end of the month is just for the regions, kind of their overall plan for submitting projects. So I've been speaking with the team that's led out of Cal Poly Humboldt and Arcata Economic Development Corporation about this. And they have a whole voting system of community partners throughout the 4-county region. So there's going to be a pretty long collaborative discussion about the different catalyst projects. So that leads to kind of two pathways. One is I think this will be kind of discussed and refined a little bit more in the upcoming months. And then from what I've heard of the project leaders, they're going to submit to the state. It might be kind of the March to May time range. It's still a little unclear from the state. And also, Lake County could submit another project. There's been some preliminary talk about partnering with a few of the tribes regarding bioenergy projects.
Okay,
That concludes my presentation.
thank you very much, Ben. Go ahead and open it up to any other supervisors. Any questions? Comments? Go ahead, EJ.
So I was just going to ask Ben,
Supervisor Crandall.
a lot of this seems to be preemptive. What is in place for implementation, or did I miss that?
No, it's a good question. So it is pretty early on in the process. I just wanted to give a heads up that the county was moving in this direction for submitting for this funding. It's not guaranteed, but since the Fort County region is allocated this $9 million, I think we have a pretty good shot. So it was just soliciting feedback before we get too far in the process.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Supervisor Green.
Yeah, and I'm looking, so the fifth slide looks to be the rough 4 bullet points of what the proposal looks like currently. But even in these preliminary bullet points, when it's not the non-emergency times, when there might be some overlap or some synergy available, synergy might be the better word, public-private partnerships. So if we're doing business development in a place that's attractive to entrepreneurs, for example, or we're doing startups or micro businesses, that's certainly supportive of that, but that's not necessarily central to the resiliency hub and spoke that we had talked about when Terry was here. So what can we do to refine that private sector, possible private sector contribution to this type of proposal? Because if we can distinguish ourselves from other counties and other similar proposals, it would be not just this vision that we would have this synergy of emergency use and non-emergency uses of this facility, but that we've actually matured our local understanding of what entrepreneurial groups or small business assistance support networks already exist and already poised to take advantage of participating in this hub.
Yeah, so I'm going to be soliciting a good amount of feedback from the private sector and then also entrepreneurial support organizations in Lake County and our region to get some thoughts. From what I've seen in previous locations, what's kind of driven success for this is a lot of it comes down to programming it. So some of it's the physical space and kind of thinking through that carefully. What is kind of like the audiovisual requirements? How do you configure meeting space and then workspace? But a lot of it is what is the value added to actually showing up to this physical space? What are kind of the collaboration points? And how do you get organizations involved that really provide technical value to, you can have pretty sophisticated entrepreneurs and there's still a place to plug in there, and then kind of people that are starting out, starting a business.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Susan.
Thank you, Chair. I did want to share with the board that I encouraged Ben to bring this forward now as opposed to later, because as you know, beginning January 1st, we'll be looking at the federal earmark possibilities, our governance session, our budget sessions, the next round of CDBG funding. So I didn't want to get this lost or lose the opportunity.
All right. Any more questions from the board at this point?
Just one last one. And I don't know if it's necessarily germane, but I just wanted to mention, or ask, is this something that can I misspelled a word when I typed it. Put it into existing areas or facilities that are already highly visible. Some of these facilities are somewhat in need of, bringing them up to par, because some folks have bought properties in highly visible areas already, and now they're trying to bring their businesses up to par so that they can, operate and, just start their business. Because right now, some of them are way behind and don't have the capital to move forward. So I don't know if that's something we're looking at. Am I looking too far down the road? That's my question.
Yeah, I guess just to clarify, two ways you could look at it. So one, this program funding could be used for an existing space. It's more, they're agnostic about that. It's more plugging into the overall program goals. So are you kind of driving economic growth, job creation? Are you serving underserved communities is also a big thing. But there's also, there's other regions looking at financing pools, utilizing these funds. There could be a portion of this proposal that is technical advice and is funding that. And so then that can be mobile throughout the county to some degree. It could be based at this location, but it could serve several different locations throughout the county.
Thank you, Ben.
All right. Well, I appreciate this coming forward early. I know it's a new program. I do like that the Community Resilience Center Hub is an idea to help enhance that project as it's going forward. As you know, we've talked about it, especially here, all the disasters we've been through, but being prepared for anything that's coming down the future, especially every topic that's talked about at the Risk Reduction Authority. Earthquakes we haven't had yet. We've had floods, we've had fires. We need to be prepared for all those. But ultimately, looking at opportunities to increase job creation, economic development, and continuing moving in that direction is a positive thing. So obviously, I think it's a positive thing that we're going after this funding. Really honing down what we're going to do with it, I think, is really important. And I do know that what was it again? The Redwood Rise? Probably getting it wrong. But I know they've engaged, at least reached out to every government agency in the county, and there are meetings happening, I think bi-weekly. They're moving right along. So I'm glad that the county's engaged with it, Ben. So obviously supportive, don't have any specific projects, but hopefully that'll be worked on by you and the CAO as we move forward to develop these opportunities. So definitely in favor of going after the funding. Any more comments from the board? All right, go ahead and open it up to the chambers. Anyone in the chambers? All right, no one in the chambers. We'll go ahead and open it up to Zoom. Do we have anyone on Zoom with a hand up? Okay. This was just direction today, correct?
It was just a presentation, and if you had advice or wanted to share, but obviously it was just to get you informed and up to speed before we continue with the regional group.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.